So as expected, I've got a ton of questions from people wondering what the hell Elliot just did in that video yesterday. So the very first question I want to address is, where did you get that idea from, Elliot? Where did you get this from? So you know where I'm coming from, I've been studying body psychology for about 10 years. And if you are interested in learning more about the science of body psychology, or how the mind expresses itself through movement, emotion means movement, energy in motion in the body, I would begin with the work of Alexander Lowen. He was a student of Wilhelm Reich, who was a student of Freud's. And Wilhelm Reich really is the pioneer of this idea in the West. And he was a student of Freud who decided that, look, all the psychology, all the talking that we're doing is not helping because people's bodies are tense, people's bodies are tight, and he decided to bring exercise into psychology. Alexander Lowen is his student, who is also the mentor of my mentor. Here's the lineage. And he's written several books that are very easy to digest on the idea of body psychology, or what he calls bioenergetics. And the place I would begin if I were you was with a book called The Language of the Body by Alexander Lowen. I'll put a link down below so you can see. The next question is, Elliot, did you lose your mind? And the answer is yes, I've lost my mind. But as I've said in other videos, there are 3 parts to your brain. You've got 3 brains in this model. It's very metaphorical, but it's also very literal, and I'm going to show you exactly what I mean. So when you asked, did I lose my brain? The answer is yes, I lost one part of my brain. So the metaphor for the 3 brains is the head brain, the heart, and the balls. Literally, it's your neocortex, the cortex, and the brain stem or medulla. So when we talk about the neocortex, or the new brain, the neo-mammalian brain, this is the brain that only human beings have, that allow us to think rationally, have material addictions. You know, we're very attached to the material world, and the neocortex is so strong that it can actually ignore the cortex and the medulla. It can completely ignore the mammalian and reptilian part of the human being. Financial gain, striving, reading, writing, math, and analytical skills. This is the brain that we're conditioned to use for the most part in school. It's a brain that's computer-like. It's completely objective, doesn't contain any emotion in the same fashion that the cortex does, or our mammalian brain. This is a lower form, and when I say lower form, it just means that it's closer to the body, it's closer to the heart, like I described before, than the higher brain, the spiritual brain, right? The analytical brain. But it gets not nearly the attention that the neocortex does in our westernized, our Western culture, because it's not very analytical. We're all about analyzing. Love and emotions is associated with this smaller, older brain. Passion, care for others, and also memory to a degree, much greater than our brainstem or old brain, reptilian brain, right? This brain is like our unconscious. It's like our vegetative nervous system. And like you see in the picture, it drives all the way down into the peripheral nervous system that extends into our balls, into our legs. So the entire peripheral nervous system really drops out of the brainstem or the medulla, the old brain, the reptilian brain. The very first thing that this brain was designed to do was to take care of the 4 F's: feeding, fight, flight, and fucking, right? It's instinctual. It regulates sleep, heart rate, breathing, and I spoke a lot about breathing in that video yesterday, digestion, elimination. Like I said, it's the autonomic nervous system, or also called the vegetative nervous system in some tradition. But autonomic meaning automatic. You don't have to think in order for this part of the brain to work. Now, here's where all the tension in our body happens. When we put all our emphasis and efforts and all of our conditioning is based on the use of the neocortex by itself, the new brain. Because like I said, I mean, they're eliminating physical education in school. You're constantly having shut down your emotion, love, passion, anger, frustration, all the emotion and passion associated with the cortex, and obviously the fighting, flight, right? Because so much of our lives are stressful, but we don't run, right? It's not like a lion is chasing us. It's a lot of it is perceived. Fucking, we don't go around fucking everybody. It's just, we don't do that anymore. We are of a higher caliber now as human beings. We're no longer just brainstem or reptilian in nature. So what happens is the neocortex begins to ignore the cortex and the brainstem, begins to ignore emotions and stifles, shuts down emotion, and it completely pretends as if the autonomic nervous system doesn't exist any longer. We feed ourselves horrible food. Our digestion and elimination's all fucked up. People they've got GERD, they've got all types of acid reflux, they're constipated, no one's breathing properly. And that was a huge one with what I was trying to describe yesterday. Stimulate the brainstem, the medulla, the old brain, the autonomic nervous system by breathing properly, by opening up the body. Opening up the body, like I said, this drives down into the body, down into the sex organs. Open up the body by breathing deeper. So to answer the question, and come full circle, yes, I lost my mind for a particular moment of time, but it was just the neocortex, so that the cortex and the brainstem could do all the weird shit that's been trapped deep down within it, enslaved and stifled by the neocortex. This doesn't just happen to me. This is happening to you as you watch this. Kids that like to play video games, you know what's happening? You're watching and associating through the neocortex all of the fighting in the games, all the things that you're doing to move forward in the game, but your body is not expressing the excitement associated with winning the game or losing the game, whatever the case may be. So you're sitting there, the brainstem, the medulla, the old brain, the autonomic nervous system, your breathing, as well as the emotions associated with your cortex are completely dormant, while this guy, neocortex, is just going on and on and on and on and on. Same thing when you sit in school. When our children to sit down in school, right? Sit down and shut up. Don't be too emotional. Don't consider your body. Just think. Just think. Mathematics. Reading, writing, arithmetic, right? So as all those things get stuffed down in you, in me, we've got to take time. We've got to take a moment a day, even if it's 20 minutes, and let it all out. The best ways to start doing this, and I've shared this with you before, and I kind of alluded to it in the video, is to charge the body with breath, focusing on the out breath. I told you how to open your mouth wide. Breathe, charge the body. Do the bow. I've showed you this in other videos where you open up your chest, you stretch the extra respiratory muscles associated with bringing the breath down into your balls. Watch my other channel, my strength and conditioning channel. I've done several videos on my bioenergetic warm-up and also how to breathe deep, stretches for breathing deep. Then begin, so we've stimulated the old brain with the breath. Then we want to bring forth the cortex, we want to bring forth the mammalian, emotional, passionate brain. The best way to do that is to start shaking the body. So after you've charged your body, start shaking your body and shaking your head. And eventually just let go. When you know that you've let go, you know that you've let the neocortex release and relinquish its responsibility to the body when you start really getting erratic. And then just use free association, saying words, and just doing whatever comes to you. You're breaking the neurotic, I've spoken about this, holding patterns by breathing deep to stimulate the old brain and shaking the body to let out the trapped emotion. Again, I try my best to keep this as a short video, but study it on your own if this is something that you find interesting. I'll try my best to continue to offer you more information. Talk to you next time.
Bam.